Hi, Amber here, and today I just want to take a few moments to share some tips and ideas that might be helpful to you for creating a home yoga space. Obviously, there are benefits to practicing at home, but there are also might be obstacles and things that you might feel are getting in the way of your practice. I do have some notes on my phone here, so I'm going to kind of be looking over that because I don't want to forget anything that I had listed. Here are my 6 tips. If you have others that you think of, feel free to comment below and let me know because that can help myself and others. Otherwise, we'll just get right into it. So the first tip is to just try to find a quiet space to practice in, preferably somewhere that you won't be disturbed. Now, I realize that this doesn't always work perfectly for everyone. I am very, very fortunate to have my own home yoga studio space here. But even within this space, I do have cats, which you probably saw at the beginning there of the video, that sometimes like to disrupt my yoga practice in their own ways, and I have a husband that sometimes comes in. So it's not perfect, but I do have this sanctuary, this quiet space, which I am so grateful for. You may or may not have something like that, but even if you don't have a designated yoga space, maybe you can, the idea here is to try and set up even just a little space, even if it's just in the corner of a room. Preferably it would be somewhere that you can close the door. But again, you're working with what you have, but just see if you can find a space where you will be less likely to be disturbed and where you can find some peace and quiet even if there's other stuff and noise going on in your home. Because a lot of times we come to our yoga mat to find that stillness, that quiet, to connect to our breath. So see what you can do to find a quiet space to practice. Number 2 is to try and create an ambience for your yoga practice. So this really depends on your style, your taste, and what speaks to you, but try to create an ambience or an atmosphere for your space that relates to your yoga practice. So this can be all kinds of different, there are different ways that you can do this. So you can use different colors. Maybe you're someone who really likes really bright colors and that makes you super happy and joyful, so maybe you put pops of bright yellows or pastels or blues or whatever in your space. Maybe you like maybe you find a more neutral tone calming. Maybe you want everything to be white or something like that. That can be really calming as well. Maybe you like to use like natural earth tones or natural fibers and woods and things like that can be helpful. If you look at a lot of yoga studio spaces, they have different colors or different decor and things to help make it calming. And I'm not trying to tell you to go out and buy a bunch of stuff, but maybe just intentionally consider 1 or 2 things that might add to your space and make it feel more like a space for you to practice yoga. Some other things you could do are like, if you like candles, you could like put some candles to light there. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Or if you saw, I have some salt lamps. I really like the salt lamps for my space. Fairy lights can be an option, especially if you're practicing in the evening or when it's dark. But those can be nice. Tapestries, like I have mine back there. I have a couple different ones, but with mandalas or different things, sometimes can be nice for the practice. Again, maybe makes it feel a little more like a yoga studio type of space. And also can be used for meditation and things like that. But really just, there aren't any hard and fast rules with that. You know, just play with what you like. You could literally just light 1 candle, and that could be it. Maybe, I don't show it here, but I have some crystals that I sometimes put out. Things just depending on what you're wanting, things like that. Number 3 kind of goes with number 2, but it's a branch off of that, and that is to play with lighting. So you want to play with the lighting of your space. You'll notice if you go to a yoga class, a studio, a lot of times the lighting might be intentional. I personally prefer natural lighting as much as possible. I turned on some lights for the purpose of this video in here, my little lights. But during the day, you know, I might turn on a salt lamp, but it just depends, but I don't ever really turn on the overhead fluorescent lights for my practice. I just do not find that relaxing. I generally would say for most of us, some kind of soft, dim lighting or natural sunlight would be best. But again, encourage you, maybe light candles, play around with it. Find what feels like a good space for you. If it's early morning, maybe you do want brighter lighting. I don't know. But for most of us, lighting can really have an effect on our mood, and you can really use lighting to create, again, that ambiance and that calming sanctuary of a space, even if it is just the corner of a room or something. Number 4 is accept imperfections. So just try to accept that your space might not always be perfect, and that's okay. So maybe someone does interrupt you. Maybe something comes up. Maybe something you have set up gets knocked over or put away or something like that. To just, recognize that it doesn't have to be a perfect practice. It's just about getting to your mat and making the practice happen, coming to your breath and your body and working with what you have. So always work with what you have. Don't beat yourself up if you don't have the perfect Pinterest-worthy yoga space right now. Number 5 is props. Again, not telling you to go out and buy a bunch of stuff, but a couple props might be helpful. I love my props. I love my bolsters, blocks, all that. Yoga is kind of a huge part of my life, so it made sense for me to have those things, and I've had them for quite some time now. So I would say, if nothing else, just getting a blanket. It doesn't even have to be a fancy blanket, but for a blanket for your space so you're comfortable, especially for Shavasana. And then maybe a block. I feel like a block is a good place to start. To start from there, and then maybe get straps or bolsters or things like that from there, just depending on what kind of yoga practice that you have. But having 1 or 2 props, at least, it can be helpful. And if not, you can also get creative with objects you have around the house and things like that. And then number 6, last but certainly not least, is going outside. So you can go outside. Maybe not always. The weather here has been a little iffy lately, so if it's really cold out or something, you probably might not want to do that. But if you are coming into the spring season, like many of us in the northern hemisphere are right now, maybe you have some days where it's warmer, sunny, pleasant outside. So even if you maybe can't get that sanctuary inside, or people are bothering you, or there isn't that much space, maybe you can create some sort of space outside in a backyard or something like that. Again, I realize not everyone has this luxury. Not everyone has their own outdoor space, but if you do, it could be another option to find some of that sanctuary, or even if you have a park nearby or something that you can safely and socially distanced, if you're listening to this in real time with the pandemic, that you can go to. But taking time for yoga practice outside can be really helpful, really beneficial, and mood boosting as well. So anyway, those are just a few tips. And comment below if you have any more tips you'd like to share with me. I can always use ideas too. But I hope you found that helpful. And just remember, try to keep staying in your practice. Come to your mat. Don't worry about it being perfect. And continue to enjoy your practice at home or wherever else you might be practicing yoga. I will see you back next week for another video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video if you found this useful. Subscribe if you want more yoga content every week. And I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.